Welcome and good evening to Marketing and Sales Executive of Detroit's evening with Fireside Chat with Frank Venegas. We are so happy. I can't even tell you the excitement and the buzz that we've had around our board meetings and that when we found out that our wonderful board member, Chad Toms, had, yes. Absolutely. He deserves that round of applause and probably more. But actually, I think I would say, Chad, you got to come up here for a second. You can't be hiding on us. He's too tall a guy to be hiding on us. Anyway, absolutely. We are just so thrilled, really, to have this program tonight and have all of you come and spend time with us. And I know I was talking with Jesse earlier and Frank, and the fact that we're meeting in person is even better yet. So this is wonderful. My name is Ann Brutel, and I am the president of Marketing and Sales Executives of Detroit. I have had the pleasure for the last couple of years. And my other daytime job is with meeting coordinators. We manage nonprofit associations and run corporate programs. So anyway, this is just perfect. It's a perfect alignment of stars for me. I just want everyone, and thank you for the early round of applause for Chad, because he deserves that. He has worked so hard. As I said, he's on our board with Marketing and Sales Executives of Detroit, and he has just been the best board member one could ever ask for. I mean, all we did is one time we gave him an award, and the Platinum Award, and I think he actually, turned that into gold twofold for us. So he's just an incredible gentleman, and you'll be hearing more from Chad, of course, tonight as he interviews Frank for us. So thank you to our sponsors tonight. Certainly the Ideal Group. We couldn't have done this without you. That's right. And of course, Reliance One. We could not have done it without them. And all the, our friends at Reliance One. And of course, MHCC, of which we're so proud. I don't think I can call off all the names, but I know Mark Marino is here. And Dana is here, and so we thank them also for their support in this room for us, and we'll be noting that again. So anyway, I've probably talked too long. I want you to eat dinner. What will happen is I'll give you a 5-minute warning probably before we start the program, and so that anyone needs to go out and make a quick phone call or something that they're able to. But Chad, do you want to say a couple of things?
Thank you, Ann. Thank you, everyone, for coming out tonight. It's the last couple of years have just been. It's been crazy, and we found, we're an in-person building relationships and networking type company, and it's been difficult with all the virtual stuff. So I really appreciate everyone taking time out of their busy schedule and just get together and just try to keep growing, our businesses and just building relationships. That's what it's all about. And then thank you to, and you already mentioned the MHCC, the Ideal Group, obviously Frank and his family. I'm so excited to just share a little bit of time with you all. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm hungry. I'm gonna eat. All right.
Yep.
We good?
Yep. Enjoy your dinner. So thank you to the staff here at the Michigan State University Management Education Center. They've always done a nice job for us at Marketing and Sales Executives of Detroit. So again, I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for coming today. This is such an awesome program that we have been looking forward to now for at least 3 months, I think, Chad. We've been planning this. And so again, we could not do it without our sponsors. Our sponsors in the room, of course, MHCC, and Ideal Group, and Reliance One. And we couldn't. But I also want to thank Liliana. There she is. Exactly. And I'm sorry if I forgot to say thank you a little bit earlier, but she has been so kind and gracious to donate her services today. And she, this is kind of, I think, a family affair here. We've got Frank with his son and daughter, and Liliana has brought her brother. So, that speaks well for everybody here in this room. We're very close-knit and love to have family participate. Anyway, thank you, Marketing and Sales Executives of Detroit. Let me tell you a little bit about them. We've been around now for 34 years, I do believe. And I have to be honest, I think I was around the first roundtable when they were discussing how to pull that group together. So I'm very privileged to be a part of it for so many years. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I know in the room today, we do have a couple of our board members that I'm proud to introduce to you today, because our board has certainly worked very hard to pull this together. Of course, I've talked about Chad being on our board. We couldn't have found anybody more platinum than him to be on our board. We also have Jeff Laskowski. He's with SAE International, and pleased to have Jeff on the board. And I'll let you take a drink, Laura, before I introduce you. And Laura Olivetto, who has also been on our board with the SSDM digital marketing company. So real pleased to have that. And then I also want to do a shout out. We have one new member to Marketing and Sales Executives of Detroit. And I know I hope I pronounced your name right. Praleep Singh. You might have to pronounce it for me. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I'll learn how to pronounce your name correctly. I apologize for that slur. It was very nice of him. Not only did he join us, but he also earlier today brought his daughter in to meet a few of you, and so I think that's wonderful. And like I said, I love it when we get family members involved, because our lives are kind of tough as they are. So if we can bring our families involved, that's really fantastic. So without any further delay, we've got two wonderful people sitting up here on the podium. I think they're both mic'd up now. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Uh-oh, turn them on.
Oh, yeah.
There we go. Here's some live mics. Now, okay. That's his heartbeat. That's his heartbeat. I think Frank's excited.
Yeah, that's my heart.
Yeah, there you go. You got your heartbeat. Now, what we'll also do, obviously, Chad now will have the privilege of introducing Frank for us. And they will take questions afterwards, but I will ask, because of the fact that we're recording this session, that I bring the microphone to you so that you can have it live then in our recording. So thank you again, everyone, very much. And let me throw the floor over to Chad to take over.
All right. Thank you, Ann. Thank you to everyone once again for coming out this evening. And special thank you to Mr. Frank Venegas, Jr., founder of the Ideal Group. Thank you, Frank, for being here tonight.
Well, it's my pleasure.
This is something that I have been really excited about. Ann mentioned, I think it's probably been 6 months that we've been working on this. And I've known Frank for so many years. And the thing about Frank is I actually knew of him before I ever met him. A friend of mine worked for his company back in the probably mid-90s. And he started off as a welder, and he moved up through the ranks. I think he made it up to he was an estimator. And he's going to college. And so he had told me about this amazing man and this amazing company, and I never forgot that. And 15 years had gone by, and I bumped into Frank one night at an event, and I told him that. I said, my friend actually worked for you. And he goes, what's his name? I said, well, Tony Suhanek. He's like, Tony, he was going to school. Did he become a teacher? I'm like, he did. And he goes, he was married to Kelly, right? I'm like, he absolutely was. I said, now he's actually a principal. And at that moment, that told me every part of that I need to know about Frank. He was just, it was all about, I think the people that work for you are part of your family. You literally have family working with you, but all of your employees and leaders are in your family as well. So I just thought that was amazing. It really taught me a lesson as we're trying to grow our company, Reliance One, and it just, I think it's just a great lesson in leadership. So Frank, I guess your first question, if you can explain that philosophy of treating everyone like family. And we all have family. You know how it is sometimes. We have to be on other sides of the living room during the holidays. Just got some crazy family members. But I'm just kidding. But I guess you treat everyone as family. How's that been ingrained in your company and your culture over the years?
Most of the time, I don't like them. Okay, that's not the truth. The real deal is that. Over the years, people have asked me how and why and the way that I've assembled the businesses the way I have. And I can just be honest with you, and that is, it's the people. People come first. I don't care what it is. You can look at anything, and whether it's your home, I mean, if you got a home and you have a mother and father or kids, or if you don't, or whatever, and you create this family that you can do it. I mean, we brought in some, and I think that they have questions on that, questionable people to come to work for you, okay? People that you would not think that would be, people that you would not think that could be your best friends, and businesses are a battle. They really are, and you have to have your soldiers and your lieutenants and things, but more than anything else, you got to be all like this. And I like knowing people, who they are and what goes on, and I kind of giggled about Tony because I still remember him.
Oh, that's great. I invited him this evening. Unfortunately, couldn't make it. But yeah, I'll jump to that question, Frank. That was a moment. I remember exactly where I was. We were at the Rent Zen, and Frank was up on stage. He was receiving an award from General Motors. It was one of their supplier events, I believe it was. And you got up on stage and you shared a story. It stopped me in my tracks. So I definitely want you to elaborate on it. But you shared about how you were attending more funerals than you were graduations in Southwest Detroit. And you did something about it. And that, to me, was one of those moments, once again, I'll never forget. But I just thought that was amazing because I never knew that. So can you tell us about that program that you created?
Well, the thing is, more than anything else, is that you can't do most of the things and be a single leader. You got to have multiple leaders. And when we went after the gang thing, because people thought I was nuts to relocate my company from out in Howell and Brighton and Hamburg and relocate it in the hood down in Mexican Town, and that's where I'm from. And my grandma was the madrina of the neighborhood and things. And you had to take a look at what it was and what it wasn't, and it was 30% unemployment. The gangs were running like crazy. The little guy gangs wore the same color hats as the big guy gangs. They would knock on old people's doors and windows and scare the hell out of them at all times of night. They were scared to come. It was just a total mess. And I was in a factory that I bought that looked like the Packard plant, and we needed to do something. And so why I say leaders, there was another leader that I worked with, and her name was Angie Reyes. And Angie was tired of going to funerals, and because her kids were there, and it was really, really a miserable deal. And we were able to get 4 of the 5 gangs to sit down, and we asked them what did they want, and I thought we'd have to pay for the 20 acres or 30, whatever I got. And because I was bringing people, engineers and people from way outside that type of a lifestyle. And they said, from the 4 gangs, they said that they wanted jobs with opportunity and don't leave. And so there was 3 of us in the beginning, 4 partners in total in the beginning, and I don't know, we all looked at each other and we ended up hiring 20 from each gang. Now, getting into that and hiring these guys that work for me in gangs, I mean, like one of the guys that was a gang leader, he didn't want to go to prison again because he just got out of a federal prison pit, and his boy was 1 when he left and he was 6 when he come back, and he said, I'm not going back. And he was pretty serious. He was a real tall Puerto Rican and everything, and he was tough. He was a dope dealer, okay, and a leader. And we put him in as a laborer. And he looked like hell as a laborer, okay? He had gold chains on and things like that. He just wasn't a laborer. And he wanted to go to become a mechanic. He went to school for a mechanic for 6 weeks, and he wasn't a mechanic. So my brother brought him in and brought him in the office, and whenever you bring in the gang guys and the tough guys, they get all nervous and everything. And this guy was sitting there nervous, and my brother says, you're going to go into sales. Well, he pushed his chair back and he said, I mean, you mean go into sales? I don't know anything about sales. And my brother explained to him, since he was one of the biggest cocaine dealers, that you knew how to distribute, organize, get paid, and do all these. These are attributes of a great salesman. Well, we moved times up about 26, 27 years, and Antonio He's raised 3 kids. Got a nice wife, took care of his mother, got a beautiful house down in Florida, and he runs all of my Southeast United States. Wow. Now, when you get a win like that, I mean, you get a big win. And I have to put 2 people on the spot now and ask them to stand up. Tanya? Luis? Anyways, this girl right here drove me crazy. Okay? She was one of the prettiest little girls and everything like that, but I'm going to tell you what, she was tough. Okay? And there's her husband, Luis. Now, Luis is kind of a tall guy, too, and he had tough in him, too, but not like her. The most incredible thing is we got to know each other over the years, and I still do today, and they run a very successful construction company. Luis learned his trade in the CBs, and Tanya learned her trade in the streets. And she knows how to deal with people, understand with people, deal with trades, and those 2 are one of the most remarkable people that I'm so proud of. Thank you.
Oh, that's great.
Now I'm going to introduce you to the love of my life, and I'd like to introduce you to Lori Saul. Lori she runs a Hispanic business. Hey, stand up, stand up, stand up. She is one of the largest Hispanic businesses in Michigan. She's one of the largest insurance, different types of insurance in Michigan. And I love her like crazy. And she's been in business now for 42 years. And she makes a big time mark on what's going on and what's happening. And she's assisted me into a lot of things that I do. And I don't know if I'm going off base, but I'd like to introduce one person. All right, big guy, stand up. No, come on. You know who you are. Christian is one of the people that I dreamed about when I do business. My daughter and I have had the pleasure to teach at Dartmouth for quite some times, and I went there for a stretch. And we don't charge at Dartmouth. Okay, we go there, we fly there, we go there. We just love the kids and being with the programs and stuff. But we've always told them, you put our paychecks into a bowl. So if we want our pay one day, we ask for it. Well, I've been dealing with Christian since he was real young, and he worked at Ideal, and I had the challenge and the opportunity to mentor him. And he's one of the people, like I said, that I admire the most, and being so young. And he went to Dartmouth to see if he could, qualify for it. And he went to the summer camp, which is real prestigious in the Ivy League. And he got the first letter. Okay.
Congratulations.
All right, don't sit down yet. Don't sit down yet.
No. Put him on the spot.
He just graduated last week. All right. So I guess that's all the stories on that.
That's perfect. I love it. Well, I was actually able to do a pre-interview with both Jesse and Lindsay last week, so thank you to all of you for tuning into that. And so Jesse and I, we're talking about you have a philosophy in your company that everyone is in sales, and you've really already kind of touched on that. So he mentioned how you had gone to a networking event in 1979 out there trying to grow and build relationships, and it was the start of your company. So if you can explain, it's a great story. I think that was the story that really Tony had shared with me many years ago. So can you tell us how your company was formed?
Don't let me forget mirrors, okay? Yeah, it was a pretty crazy deal. I always worked all my life, and when I was young and stuff, and I went to work for the steel company because I quit college, and I was sweeping the floor over there and picking up nails, and I really, really liked it. And then the guy that owned the company, I become his hand-picked son. And I worked for him for about 4 or 5 years, and there was a big party And I knew a lot of the people there, and the tickets, this is in 79, the tickets were $150 a piece. And that was expensive. And Bud, he said, I ain't paying for it. So I said, okay, I'm going to pay. And that was a lot of money for me. And I went to this party, and we sang, we drank, we danced all around a brand new 1979 Coupe de Ville d'Elegance, okay? The last card that come out of the thing won the card. I drove it for 9 days. I sold it for $12,000 in a used car, and 30 days later I started my business. And it was a weird way to start it, but I'd always saved my money, and we're talking about things around here, recessions and all this other stuff that's affecting us as business people and that. Well, I started my business in 1979. We had one of the most horrible times in 80, 81, and 82, and 83. And unfortunately, I am an economist. I am saying that this one here looks so much like that one. And if it is, hold on. Mirrors. You know, we talk about the people and what we do, work at Ideal. I'm half-witted most of the time, but sometimes when I want to do something, I just do it. And I went out and I bought, this is when our company was smaller, and I went out and I bought a gross of mirrors, 144 mirrors. And little mirrors about this big, and everybody that come in seen one of these mirrors on their desk, every single desk. And like I said, you know, some people, they like me, some people think I'm out of my mind, and some people have difficulties the way that I run things. But I said to them the same thing that I thought, is sometimes when I go and I take a shower, and when I shave and I brush my teeth, I don't really look in the mirror. I don't look into my eyes. I look at what I'm shaving or what I'm brushing. But when I stop for a minute and look into that mirror about really what I am and not what I look like, that's what made me decide that mirror, to tell the people when you talk to a customer or you talk to another person, make sure you look in that mirror and see how you look like, because most likely it's the way that you treat your customers. And your customers, you can't give them up.
Oh, that's fantastic. Now, you shared, and I watched, and I think I heard you speak about this, and you did share it in one of your videos you did put out, and you talked about something that was very important to you, something that your grandfather shared, and it helped impact not only your career but your business. Do you want to elaborate on some of that advice that your grandfather gave you?
I'll tell you a little story about Detroit, okay? Because my grandfather and grandma, they come here in 1917, and it was a pretty different era. My grandfather, he stopped in Alabama or something like that and did some parachutes and things like that. Then they gave him a green card. Then he come up here to Detroit, and he come up here for the $5 a day job. If you were Mexican or black, you rode in the back train car. When you got off the train, you looked for someone that looked like you. So if you were black, you went to John R. and Hastings up to Black Bottom, and if you were Mexican, they sent you into Corktown because everybody hated the Irish. And that's how we started, and that's how we grew. And my grandpa taught me a whole bunch of things, and we lived right by Tiger Stadium. It was the coolest life in the world. And my grandpa, he said to me, he says, I'm going to tell you something. So I'm going to tell you, you keep this in your mind for the rest of your life. And he always said, he says, do what your boss don't want to do, and you'll get his job every time. And when you really kind of back that up, do what your boss don't want to do, you'll get the job every time. Just think about, you know, when you have young people or medium-aged people that go to work and they're working for a company. Hell, I tell them, learn what the boss doesn't want to do, and you'll get his job. And there's really, really truth to that. Because they make them as a go-getter, and they don't even know that they're go-getters. And that's what I found. And one of the other things I admire about what my grandpa always told me, and that was, don't cross Michigan Avenue, all right, because you get hit with cars. Well, the Detroit Lions had their headquarters across the street, okay? And we used to wait, if we seen some newer cars, we would run across the street and get signatures, and they'd throw you a ball or anything. They didn't give you anything. And I seen that, and then my grandpa always made me keep pretty busy in my mind. And I can still remember one of the things, and it's something that we always have to do in business and life, and that is we go by these bushes. I can still remember it. He'd tell me, look in that bush and tell me what you see. Okay, and I'd look in that bush, and there's some garbage down there. I said, no, man, look in the darn bush and tell me what you see. And, you'd see a spider, you would see some bugs, you would see maybe some fruit on that little tree, but you would see more than what that thing is. And that's what I think we've done best at Ideal with our people, is we get to see what they are and what they can be. Because if we go back to when in 82 or 83, I needed some labor, and I had Mrs. Atchison, this lady, I can still remember her name, knocked on my door. And so Mrs. Atchison said, do you need any labor? I said, yeah. I said, well, we can drop 3 or 4 off tomorrow. And I said, drop them off. She goes, yeah. She says, and you don't have to pay but like $50 a week for them. I said, no kidding, this is a great deal. And they were from the medium security prison, the state prison. And what they had is, when they were getting short in time, they had a work pass program where they were allowed to come to work at places like mine. Well, I had 4 in the beginning, and then 6 or 8, and then it was amazing. I watched these people and watched what they could do, and crazy things like that. They didn't know how to read a tape, because we'd use tape measures in construction and everything like that. And they would literally take and make a tape out of paper to take it back so they study. And then they started asking me for jobs, not jobs. Can we stay here late from 5:30 to 7, and you teach me how to teach them how to read the prints and that. But I thought maybe they were doing it because I'd bring pizza in, okay? But I knew that I was learning and teaching. I have this one young guy. Well, he ain't young no more. He's got to be 60. And he's been with me. He come to me out of the prison, and he was a part of if you're got a good memory from a long time ago, he was a member of YBI, Young Boys Incorporated, okay? And he was one of the big boys. Well, he went to things. He didn't want to go back to prison. He wanted to come to work for me. My deal is, when I get the prison guys, they got to stay away from their brothers, their cousins, their mothers, and dads, and they got to move out of the county to give them a fighting chance. And don't let them buy. They can't buy cars. I have to go with them, because they buy them cars that are junk. But more now is, I got this guy that's been with me since 1983. That was YBI, toughest guys in the world. And I'll bet you he's mentored 50 people for me. And other prisoners and other people in the prison, and just people in general. And talks to them why you shouldn't do this and what goes on. And those are those internal things that you see all over the place. Got a lot of leaders.
Well, that's great. That sounds like you learned a lot from your grandfather, and taught you some valuable lessons. And you have your son Jesse and your daughter Lindsay now have grown up in the organization, and now they work for the organization in a leadership role. So what are some of those lessons that you've passed on to them? From the youngest age, when they were probably, I don't even think Lindsay was born yet when the company was started. So they've literally grown up. But what have you taught them over the years?
Lindsay was born.
Was she? Okay.
Yeah, Jesse wasn't. Lindsay's got more seniority at Ideal.
Okay, good.
My dad, believed in you working, and we always worked, and I believed in you working. But I had got divorced, and when the kids would come stay the weekend, I had to do something with them, and I brought them to work. Well, I'm going to tell you what, they liked money, and I paid them. And I didn't care what they did with the money. She saved the money, he spent the money, okay? It was so much fun, because, back then we didn't have computers, and you had to file your bills, A, B, C, D, and she was excellent at it. And Jesse, I told you go on that shop and you sweep and you clean the toilets. So he'd be back there, and he'd be doing all this thing, and the men would see him, and then the men would say, come on over here and sit down with us, and they'd learn, and they'd really like Jesse. And I go out in the manufacturing plant one day, and I see him on the lap of another guy driving a high-low, okay? And it wasn't that long later that he learned how to drive a crane. So what I did with Lindsay and Jesse is I really provide them no more than an opportunity to see what they want to do. There's a lot of businesses, that the kids don't want to be in it. And there's a lot of businesses the kids are useless. And that's the truth. And the thing that we need to do the most and the best is just like the training, like we talked about in the prison, is how do you train the people that work for you like your kids?
That's awesome. No, so going back to 1979, and you mentioned you had a kind of a mentor in your prior company, but I guess who was there for you to give you help and guidance along the way? And then after that, I know you've been a member of the Michigan Minority Supplier Development Council. I mean, one of the founding members, founding member of the Michigan Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. So who helped you, and then what organizations have you really, how has that helped your business, I guess?
That's a damn good question. I really can't answer that, and I'm going to try and make it so you can relate to it. Us as business people, we get invited, and we go to so many functions, okay? And it gets to be crazy at times. We go to so many things, and then, before the pandemic, you're saying, gosh, I can't believe we got this, and this. And then when the pandemic happened, we all couldn't wait to get something back. But I think that for me is not only in who I worked with and who I mentored with, but what was going on in the business side, is I become very selective. And you can't waste time. And I don't care how old, how little, whatever it is, you just can't. You can't waste time. You got to be, for me, because I would have never got introduced to GM, Ford, and Chrysler. Well, I learned, I did little jobs and bigger jobs and bigger jobs, and now this year here, I'll probably do $250 million with Ford, $250 with GM, amongst a bunch of other stuff. And it was all because I did my due diligence on going to something that was really trade related to me, rather than going to some goofy thing. Because you'll meet all sorts of people and they'll say, spend time on the right thing. That's what I found. The MHCC, with being with the Hispanics, I mean, I really got to know a lot of people. I got to know this crazy guy named Hank Gary, okay? You remember Hank. Hank was crazy. Hank was hard on me, all right? Hank was a baseball player for the Detroit Tigers. He was pretty good. And they called him the Tall Mexican. And he decided when he got out of baseball, he come from California, he was going to stay in Detroit. And he started a company. It was a cut and sew operation. And his first big job was with Ford Motor Company. And if you remember way back in the old days, they had the spare tire in the back. Well, he did that little cover over it. Well, let's move up time a long ways, and he became the largest Hispanic supplier in the U.S., the largest Hispanic supplier for GM, Ford, and Chrysler. He put numerous people through into Holy Redeemer, and Crystal Ray wasn't there, and I was his chicken shit. He called me chicken shit all the time. He did. I mean, I'd be there and he'd whistle over, hey, chicken shit, come over here. And he kept on telling me, because where we grew up was right there in Mexican Town, and I had my plants out in Livingston County. And, you need to think about coming back here. And he was a drinker and a smoker and a partier, and so was I. And he got bone cancer, and he passed. And Carmen Munoz, Facundo Bravo, Rick Gonzalez, and myself, we got out of the church and we said, man, we got to do something. So we called General Motors and we asked them, and they got a building for us to buy, and we bought this building. Well, we bought that building, and we brought in all the people from the community, the people that needed jobs, people that grew up all over the place, and we turned on a manufacturing machine. I'll be honest with you. I really think it was because of Hank. And as in life, and I don't care how old or how little, because Hank's been dead for years, and I still consider Hank as my mentor and someone that I looked up to, and someone that had enough guts to say, you're a chicken shit. Why I'm saying that is sometimes in life, we need to do that too. And it might be with yourself. It might be because you looked in that mirror and you didn't like what you seen. So, there's just so much learning on so much. I mean, hell, I screwed up more things than I could ever tell you.
We all have, for sure. Well, Frank, obviously you're doing something right if you've grown that much. You have now over 1,000 employees all across the country. It started with a flatbed truck that you bought, and you're in many different facets of your business. So you're in construction. The thing that I never even realized was your business that is the shields over all when you're going through the ATM machines and the drive-thrus. I never.
Can I tell them about that?
Absolutely, that's why we're here.
Okay. Anyways, I invent the dumbest stuff in the world, and when I say the dumbest stuff in the world, people say, "Oh no, it's not." It really is. It's dumb, dumb, dumb. And I was putting siding over at a Ford Motor plant, and I was putting the siding, and I watched 3 guys painting bumper posts. What bumper posts? They're those things that are yellow that make sure you don't hit things and stuff, and they're everywhere. Well, anyways, I watched, and I had a plant manager that was my mentor, and I went over to Daryl. I said, "Hey, Daryl, I'm going to come up with something." So I made a little mock sleeve, and I showed Daryl, and I slid it over the pipe. And Daryl looked at me, he says, "Man, that's really nice, but what am I going to do with my painters?" I said, "Have them paint something more important." And I'm glad that I didn't listen to him and have him say, "You can't do it." Well, we sell thousands and thousands and thousands, million, more. Any place you go, you'll see our sleeves. You go to Myers, you go to McDonald's. I don't care where it is. When you pull up and you see something plastic on that thing, that's our invention. And as far as I'm concerned, it's dumb. But we have about 29 other dumb things, and it's done very well for us because, I mean, I don't care who you are. If you're a Ford Motor Company, you have your own product line. Well, I'm Ideal Shield, and I have my own product line, and the numbers that people want to buy that company for would stagger you.
Congratulations. That is amazing. Yeah, when I think Jesse had shared that with me, I had no idea, and now I see him everywhere I go. That is amazing. And so we talked a little bit at the beginning, Frank, you and I, before we started, just how the last 24 months has gone. So MSED is a sales and marketing organization. It's events like this that just make it go. Same thing with the Hispanic Chamber and the MMSDC. We've all had these moments where we're doing everything virtual, and you got remote workforce. But so the last 24 months has been quite the journey. I guess, how has Ideal dealt with it all? I mean, changes not only within your workforce. There's chip shortage. There's a supply chain shortage. There's labor shortage. How have you, I guess, persevered through that the last 24 months?
Most of you are not going to like what I say, and that's the way it goes. We're in the biggest mess we've ever been, and if you don't get people back to work, okay? I mean, right now the model that we have is some people work at home, some people don't work at home, some people come in 1 day a week. For the people that come every day, it's a very demoralizing situation when you see people. And we've made so many mistakes. We hired a person in Utah, said, "Hey, guess what? You can work virtually for the rest of your life," okay? Well, my 2 people in Dearborn don't want to come to work, but because of the person in Utah. Okay, so we've made a lot of commitments to people on what we're going to do and what goes on. And I always get a big kick out of managers. I ask, and I mean, okay, you managers, you're managers. I said, how many people, what's your percentage of the people that you have to manage? The common numbers is between 30 and 40%. My next question is how are you going to manage that 30 to 40% while they're at home? And are people disciplined enough to work at home? We go back on GDP. I mean, we've heard GDP for years and years and years, okay? You hear about China up in the 8 and 9s. We're hanging in there at the 4. We get the 5 1/4. We feel real good. But we're on a production decline with what we're manufacturing, what we're doing is a decline of 25%. Other countries are having some of the same problems as we are, but not all of them. And the thing is really, really crazy is I got a lot of people in manufacturing. We build things. They didn't stop working. So they're out there working. And over there, they're not working. And then they get in a Zoom call and they see someone's cat fly by. Okay?
That's me.
And then all of a sudden, on there, they got 12 people on it, and 9 people, you see their picture. That don't go with me. They go on, and they're all getting like this and everything like that straightened out because they know I'm looking for them, okay? But the truth of the thing is for the last few years, we've had a need for employees, for people to work for us. And that isn't just with the pandemic. We had this way before, too. I know that, one of my customers, and they have a McDonald's right by them over there on West Grand Boulevard, and they had signs forever that said $14 an hour. Well, guess what? No more signs, because they're getting paid $20 an hour. And this whole thing has just changed things. So, I mean, you didn't even see it, and we all haven't seen it. But now the shoe's changing the foot. And what I mean by that is that when we needed people, the people that we needed, they had the shoe on their foot. There are going to be a big layoffs. There's going to be some big things. And one of the things that they're going to say to their people, you got to come back. And right now, I found with some of the people, the situation is they say, well, I'm not coming back. I'll go get another job. Well, guess what? If that's the case, it's too volatile right now with everything that's happening, and there isn't a single person in this room that can live with inflation. If you had $100,000 in your bank account, you only got $91,000 now. And it's going faster. All right, go on. We'll go on another thing.
How about we finish on a positive note? So in your years in business, what has been your proudest moment in your career?
Being here. I never ever thought I'd run a life like this. It's been an incredible deal. Everything to be, I'm happy. I'm happy with Lori. I got my kids going along. I got my big guy back there, and I managed to keep you all to listen to me. But more than anything, I'm a people and a person to help people, and I don't know. There's 2 reasons why I want to go to heaven, and I want to go see my mom. I shouldn't use the casket one, should I?
Okay.
Always makes me mad, okay, when I go to a funeral and there's 8 guys walking down the casket, okay, and 4 of them are from the funeral home, okay? Ain't gonna happen with me. I got 8 friends. Right, big guy? It's kind of, but it's really, really the truth, okay? When you get done with this whole thing, and when you really look at it, how many friends you really have? And then, again, like I said, that mirror is so valuable because you can use that mirror when you're 60, when you're 19. You can use it when you're 6. You can really, really use it when you might be down. Something that takes nothing more than look in your eyes.
Perfect. Well, at this point, that's all the questions I have for you. So let's give Frank a round of applause. That was awesome. So definitely open it up to anyone here in the crowd that would like to ask Mr. Frank Venegas a question.
I'm sure we must have at least one or two.
I mean, we covered a lot of ground there, but I'm
You
sure
did
there's some
cover
more
an
questions.
awful lot of ground there. This is just pretty remarkable. And how important it is that you mentioned the networking and getting to know people. And I think hopefully around the tables here, we've all been able to do that, meet people that we haven't known before. And here's Tom Krent.
Yeah,
Tom,
if you can,
have a question?
introduce yourself and your company and.
Oh,
And
I'm
then ask
Tom
your question.
Krent. I'm the Career Pathways Coordinator for Bloomfield Hills School District. My question to you is, will you retire?
Yeah. I'm going to have a big birthday coming up, and I'll be 70. I do far less than I ever had, okay? I still race cars, and I love racing. No, I don't think I'll ever retire in one fashion or another. All I got to do is keep my stock, okay? And don't let them have more than I do, that's all.
What kind of race cars do you have, Frank?
I race the R1 Corvettes. They're 760 horsepower. They say at the tracks I'm the fastest old man out there, so I hustle.
All right, any other questions from that? We got one in the back.
Oh, here we go. Let me run back there with a microphone so that we, please introduce yourself.
Hi, Frank. I'm Luke with Capnick Insurance. Thank you for sharing the story. Really what stood out to me, at least, was your investment in people and care for them. Listening to how your company evolved over time, innovation's clearly part of your DNA. And I'm curious, how do you see opportunity, identify it, and then go and execute it? Because you've done it clearly multiple times. I'm just curious to hear how one opportunity has led to another, it seems, and how you've been successful doing that.
The first one's the easiest, okay? And the reason why I say that is maybe there might be a couple of you in the room, but I would imagine every single person in the room here has seen something that they either could see it on a product, that you could come up with a better thing, and might be a latch on whatever. There's things that we do see, and sometimes we take enough time and take a look at it and say, I could do it better this way. There's so many opportunities to invent things in the work that you're doing, because inventing is a process, and creating a process is just as important as inventing a piece of product. And that's what I found is that creativity. I'd like to say that the creativity is really nothing more than change. And man, we can't all invent something. I'm the luckiest guy in the world to invent something like that. Have you seen some of the other inventions? You'd laugh. So how'd you do that? But there's so much of it, but there's so much that we and you and what goes on. We're talking about people and treating people and stuff like that. Those are inventions too, and those are processes. And I can guarantee you this, is that if you're really, really good on changing things and making processes and doing it so much better, you'll be the boss.
Perfect. Oh, yeah, another one? All right, great.
Did
Brenda
we have
over
a
here.
question? Great.
I don't have a question, I have a comment.
Please, introduce yourself.
Brenda Arbeláez, Pals International. Frank and I know each other for years and years, and it has been wonderful to see him succeed so much. And Sylvia here, she knows how long we've known each other, and I'm very proud to say that I was after Frank when I met him to learn Spanish. I tried so hard. Every time I went to see him, I said, Frank, you need to learn Spanish. But he was too busy, and you need time to learn a language. But Lori, she took Spanish with us for 10 years, every Saturday, and she's fluent, I have to tell you. So that was an incredible acknowledgement. And then here, Jesse, he has been taking Spanish classes with us, and he's married to a beautiful Mexican lady, and she speaks Spanish, so hopefully he he's kind of fluent, I don't know how much, but he has put a lot of efforts and time in learning the language. So I want to let you know, Frank, that
Thank you.
you have been able to do well.
That's awesome.
When you retire.
I'd like to introduce someone because I should have had earlier. Lindsay, could you stand up?
Yay!
And Jesse, you stand up too, all right? And with Sylvia, stand up. Yeah, and in order to have a good house and to be able to keep me on the straight and narrow and not do things right rather than wrong, Sylvia's been with me for 32 years. Okay. And for you young people, you won't know what a Rolodex is, okay? All right. Well, I'm going to tell you what. Sylvia's got the best Rolodex in the world. She can get me in anywhere. She knows every CEO's assistant. They all deal with each other because she has mentored them.
Oh, yeah, question in the front here.
Frank, maybe you could talk about how you managed to have a great relationship with Lindsay and Jesse on both a personal and a business level.
That's a good question. Nice job, Lori.
It's been good. It's been excellent, actually. Okay. My daughter's a pain. Okay. And she tells me what to do, and she gets me to look at things. But I'm so fortunate because she is smart. She is a top-notch executive. She knows numbers in and out. She knows what's going on. She knows how to tell people what they need to do and what they don't do. And she has the same traits as the Venegases, and she's good with people. They do screwy things, good things for people. And I sometimes, I'd love to brag about it, but they do. They do crazy things. And then Jesse, he pushes me around. Okay. And he'll just tell me. And I sometimes think he's going to threaten me not to see his grandkids if I don't do what he says. All right. But they both got their strong qualities. But more so than anything else is that there ain't anybody around me who's going to have a silver spoon. One. But more than anything else is we understand how to make money, how to take care of things. But always, you people in business, one thing, and I don't know how many more questions that I will tell you this. If you don't make money, you won't be in business. If you make a lot of money, it's okay. What you do with that money, give some to someone else. And I always sit there, and I usually finish up with this, and I think we're about done, right? Is that I'm most shocked at people. I just get absolutely shocked, and I'm shocked at the people in this room too, but I can't pick you out yet. And that is that you don't go out and mentor someone. And I mean, I'm not talking about your son or daughter. I mean, hey, I mentored my kids over there. That don't count, okay? Now, Christian will throw in, all right? We'll throw in Ali's. We'll get them on it, okay? But that's what I do with them, and that's what they know that they got to do. And people don't mentor anyone. They don't mentor someone out of their family. They don't even mentor a nephew in the other family. They don't take that time and do the things that they should. And that is probably the biggest thing we're missing, is we're not teaching. And I mean, we say, well, they learn in school. No, they don't. They learn from you. And the final thing is, I'm sure every single one of you in this room has had a mentor. But you're too stingy to give back. time don't cost nothing. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. That was fantastic.
Thank you very, very much for.
Is the battery one dead?
Here we go. Here we go. Mic is back on. I can't imagine, as I'm sure all of you, a more enjoyable evening than what we've had here today. We could stay here for another 24 hours easily and hear more stories and learn from someone who is the best mentor for all of us here. Thank you. We have a couple of things. Chad, if you want to help me here
Sure.
for a second. I think you have a little something you want to present to Frank.
Yeah. Frank, we promoted your event, and it was you made the center field screen at the Jimmy John's Field.
wow,
So that's
look at
your
that.
Yep. So we
To the guy that has everything, we
Yeah, we
thought,
didn't know what to get
have
to,
his
but-
picture up on a billboard for everyone to admire. Now, Chad, I need you back here again.
that's right.
I need you back here again.
Okay.
There are a few other people, and I will say this, Frank. I've run a lot of meetings, and you absolutely captivated this audience because people talk with their feet. Everyone has stayed in this room. They have waited and listened to your every word. And for that, we thank you very much for the career that you've had and what you have shared with us and that people will walk away from this room with. It's just a blessing for all of us. So thank you.
All right. I got a couple thank yous as well before we're
And you do,
finished.
and we
All
want
right.
to thank, and you want to thank our sponsors first, and then we've got a couple of things here to give out.
Okay. And now, I got a couple last things that people to thank as well. So, all right. So,
Well, you want to we can do this first.
Sure.
Okay, there are a few people, we know that there's a person who's always up in the front that is special, but I think that there are always someone that's behind the scenes. I know that Frank has certainly pointed that out to us, and I think if you will please go and thank,
doesn't want to come out? All right.
thank Lori for being
Oh,
here with us
absolutely.
today. And again, if you will thank Sylvia.
Oh, of course. Thank you so much, Sylvia. I really enjoyed working with you.
Thank you, Chad.
Yeah, great job.
And of course, someone else who I'm sure is not paying much attention, but will in a second, Liliana. Thank you so much.
Oh, my God. Thank you.
And last, Chad, if you see we've got one more bouquet of flowers,
Okay.
would you present that to your wife?
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. No.
Thank you.
She don't want any of that.
Here, now you want to do the
Yeah,
rest
just
of
a
your
couple
remarks?
last thoughts. So, just wanted to thank, obviously, Ann and Cindy and Marcy from the MSED. It's just a wonderful organization. We've been involved since 2012. We jumped in because, we got honored for an award, but I realized it's all salespeople. We all work with the same companies. We're all working with GM and Toyota. And then salespeople are connected. So I think that's the power of this group. I know if I need to get in touch with somebody, a company, I can call Dave right now and say, help me out. So really look at this organization. Pradeep, I think you're going to love it. It's just an awesome group. I got to thank the Hispanic Chamber. Mark, thank you so much. And Jesse's our board of directors on the Hispanic Chamber. And thanks to Dina and Raquel. Appreciate you coming out. Obviously, we got Brian Moore as well from Flex on the board. Liliana, she's actually filming a Reliance One documentary right now. We're capturing our company history so we can share that with our employees. Our two owners and founders, they're not getting any younger. But it's someday they're going to want to probably move on and I don't know if they'll ever retire like Frank said, but Sean Hill and I are going to be doing our company history for all of our employees. So Liliana's done an amazing job. We're going to be able to show this video and keep our culture going. And obviously, got to thank R1, Reliance One. We're just an amazing group of people. They change lives every day. They put people to work, and they're awesome. So we're always looking for talent. We have so many success stories of people that have just started off, as an entry level person. And Sean Hill's our talent manager. He coaches them up. He's a Marine, and he instills those values into our employees. So if you know anyone out there that's looking for an opportunity, send them Sean's way. I just want to thank Dawn. Appreciate that. And lastly, I mean, she's amazing. We've been married 26 years, and we've had I'm a lucky man. And then lastly, I wanted to mention, as you may realize, I wore pink today. I have been named as the Real Men Wear Pink Oakland County Ambassador. So I was nominated, and I jumped in. It's for American Cancer Society Breast Cancer Awareness Month in October, and we're going to be kicking off this program. So we look for all of you to support us, follow us. You know, Reliance One, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. Just follow along and join our team. We have been personally, we know people in our lives that have been impacted by that. So you'll be seeing a lot of me on social media, and I'll be dragging you guys along with me. So thank you so much. Appreciate everyone for coming out tonight.
Thank you.